to ask, a lot of people feel that Trump is racist. And what do you say to that? In 73, of course, it was when he got sued for not renting to African Americans, and 89 when he took out the ad in the paper, and even saying Obama wasn't born here and show his birth certificate. And there's numerous things. So what do you say to that?
Donald Trump really was very beneficial to the Black community when he was in the White House. I think the attacks are fairly... Why is that funny, Charlamagne?
I'm just like... it's hysterical. But
well, I would say anyone who's coming to this country illegally, he's very against.
And why did Donald Trump shoot down what they said was one of the most comprehensive bipartisan border bills that...
I don't think Donald Trump intervened at all. He's not in elected office right now. And
he literally told them not to do it.
I don't think that's true.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Right Point of View YouTube channel with your favorite host, Ashley. And if I'm not your favorite yet, don't you worry. I'm working on it. But let's get right into this reaction video. This is another Breakfast Club interview. And this is with Lara Trump, who is Eric Trump's wife. And I just love this clip because she was so graceful and so intelligent and so well articulated. It's a must watch, honestly. She puts these in their place because Charlamagne, DJ Envy, and I don't know the girl's name that's on there replacing Just Hilarious, but they're just so, you can just feel this undertone of just rude, condescending. They honestly, but she just beautifully eats them up. So let's get right into this video. The video starts now.
Yeah.
And when did it switch to politics? Because it was a big, happy entertainment family, and then politics hit. And when you started hearing the politics talk, did you believe it? Did you say, no way, this cannot possibly happen? Walk us through that, because I don't think anybody ever thought that Donald Trump would make it to president. It just didn't seem like, because he wasn't a quote-unquote politician.
Yeah. Well, he was friends with everybody. I mean, I think if you look back at Donald Trump's history, he last night we were at the Al Smith dinner, and he was right there next to Chuck Schumer, and he said to Chuck Schumer, who's obviously a Democrat senator, he said, I gave Chuck his first check ever when he was running for like assemblyman or something. So yeah,
That's why Chuck was laughing so hard. Remember we asked why Chuck was laughing so hard? Chuck was laughing, boy.
I don't be liking the optics of that. Only reason I say I don't like the optics of that is because when you hear people like Chuck Schumer say things like Trump is a threat to democracy, but then you're sitting next to him yucking it up. Why would you be yucking it up with somebody who you consider a threat to democracy?
Well, you have to ask yourself that question, don't you?
Right.
Maybe it's all scare tactics. Maybe.
Period. Well, you have to ask yourself that question, don't you, Charlamagne? Yes, you do. Because, hello, he's been in office already. Why do you act like you're so brain dead? Obviously, those are fear-mongering points. They're not real convictions they have about Trump. If he was a threat to democracy, exactly. Why would they be chucking it up and laughing? Why are they all kikiing behind cameras? Why are they always, you know what I mean? Come on. And look how he's looking at her. Smart man, but dumb most of the time.
Maybe it's a lot of fear-mongering, Charlamagne. What I can tell you is I know Donald Trump. I have known him for 16 years, and Chuck Schumer's known him a lot longer than I have. And I think he knows full well he's not a threat to democracy. And you don't even have to take my word for it. Look at what he did when he was in the White House. Like, there was never any threat to democracy when he was in the White House.
Well, there was an attempted coup of the country.
Well, that you can argue that a lot of different ways. Peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard is not an attempted coup. What was a coup was when they replaced Joe Biden with Kamala Harris, who was not elected by anyone to run for president. There are 14 million people who voted for Joe Biden to be the nominee for the Democrat Party. And if you want to talk about a real threat to democracy, I would argue that.
That wasn't a coup.
But Laura, did anyone die when that happened?
That wasn't a coup, though. Is this guy okay? That is completely what a coup is. They just disregarded the regular process and stuck someone in the position without votes, without a proper primary, without anyone's approval, while knowing she was not approved back in 2020. They did not like her. She was out of the race very early on. That is not democracy. And for him to sit here and pretend like what Trump did on January 6th is a coup and what the Democrats did during this election cycle is not, like, these people aren't honest. These people are so evil. And honestly, he needs to be careful because the jig is up, y'all. People aren't buying that crap anymore.
No.
Well, no, not even that.
Well,
she was vice president. So
the only person who died was a woman who was there actually very supportive of Donald Trump on that
But
day.
that's still a life loss. I'm just saying
No, it's terrible.
the comparison is a bit
We could go down the line of people dying in a lot of different circumstances, and I would argue that list could get very long for the Democrats as well. But
Exactly.
she was vice president.
Does everybody remember when they were burning cities down in protest of George Floyd? Do you remember that? Is that an insurrection when literal politicians and sitting senates and all of these things were coming onto the news and saying, take them for all they have and fight for your life and da-da-da-da, and all these things that they were saying? Come on. How are you guys playing so stupid? As she said, we could go down a long line of two sides if you want. The only person that got hurt that day was Ashley Babbitt. How do you incite an insurrection with no weapons, no actual, plan to actually do something? They protested to have their voices heard, but what did they do that you would compare to some crazy event that would qualify as an insurrection?
President, she was on the ballot. People did vote for her. The delegates did vote for her at the DNC.
But would you, as I'm going to assume a Democrat voter for a long time, unaffiliated voter,
yes.
If you were a Democrat, maybe a Democrat here, would you guys, if you had the option to vote for someone other than Joe Biden to be the representative for you on the Democrat ticket, have chosen Kamala Harris to be that person?
Yes.
I would have chosen Kamala Harris.
Really? Interesting.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
They're lying. No, they wouldn't have. They absolutely would not have. She's not even qualified. These guys are so evil. It's hard to watch, man. It really is hard to watch.
I mean, I was a person that was calling for Joe Biden to step down for a very long time. And I think that there's, when Joe Biden made a statement last year, he said there's about 50 of us that could beat Donald Trump. I was like, well, line them all up then. And I definitely had her as one of the people.
Even though she dropped out whenever she ran the first time before her home state voted, before Iowa, and she was polling solo, you still would have given her the shot. And I mean, if you think back to Kamala Harris, when Joe Biden, before he got pushed out of this position, before he really kind of took it up a notch with this campaign, people were saying Kamala Harris is the insurance policy for Joe Biden because she really is not doing a great job as vice president. I mean, she got, her...
Well, I'm a person who voted. I voted for that ticket because of her.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of people did.
Yeah.
That just says so much. It tells you everything you need to know about who these people are. And they are so wrong for that. I hope that she maybe asked them, what would your reasons be? What made you feel like she was qualified for this position? What did she do as a vice president that made you excited to give her a promotion? I would love to know. Name something. Name a policy. Name something she passed. Name anything besides the fact that she's Black and she's a woman, which, I mean, we know she's not Black. Come on.
Well, we've got a ticket coming up very soon and a vote very soon. It's early voting in a lot of places right now. But to answer your question, I know we kind of got sidetracked, but in politics, none of us in the family had obviously any experience in politics, but I had heard my father-in-law a lot, very upset about what he felt was wasteful. He felt like we weren't focused on America, that we were sending jobs overseas, businesses overseas, that the federal government was bloated and overspending. And he said, this isn't right. This isn't the America that I grew up in and that I think we should, have as a great future for this country. And if you go back to an Oprah interview he did, I believe in the 80s, she asked him, would you ever run for president? And he said, only if things got so bad, I felt I had no other choice. And I feel like he thought the country really was on a bad path and he wanted to help bring it back. And so right before his famous golden escalator ride, we actually all sat down as a family. And I'll never forget this because it was one of those moments where looking back, I say, gosh, he really had such good insight into what was about to happen. We all sat down as a family for dinner and he talked us through, I want to do this. This is definitely something that is real. But if I do this the right way, if I do what is needed and I call the people out who need to be called out and expose the things that need to be exposed, they're going to come after us. And it's not just me, it's the whole family. And I think you guys need to really appreciate that. And I need you to understand that and make sure everybody feels good about it. And of course we were like, well, yeah, like how bad could it be? But
how bad could it be? I'm pretty sure not even Trump thought it would be as bad as it's been with the impeachments, the lawfare, the assassination attempts, the smearing, just everything. I don't think anybody has gone through what Trump has gone through in the public eye. And then to add insult to injury, still came out the winner. That's how you know. He does have insight, and he did do what needed to be done at the time it needed to be done. And I'm excited, y'all. And honestly, shame on people like this who are on these platforms trying to diminish Trump's work and his intentions when you voted for Kamala Harris. You have no business talking to anybody about anything.
Foresight he had into what we've seen happen to this man. And I don't think anyone can argue if his name wasn't Donald Trump and he had never run for politics. I mean, you would never have seen any of the crazy things happen to him that have. So that was sort of where we all kind of got our intro into politics. Mm-hmm. I didn't become part of things really until I flew down to North Carolina in August of 2016 for a rally with my father-in-law to my hometown of Wilmington. And one thing led to another, and he told me that I was going to be responsible for winning him my home state of North Carolina in the 2016 election. And as a person who had no idea what I was doing in politics, I said, I better learn pretty quickly and get to work. And so that's what I did.
I wonder what he learned from the first time he ran.
Hold on, I just want to know, at that dinner, did y'all say, you know what, well, let's put all our dirt on the table right now because you know they're going to be coming at you. You know, press is going to try anything that you guys have ever done. If you guys have stolen a Snicker bar from a store, they're going to come at that. Was that the dinner where you say, well, let's put everything on the table so we know what they're going to be attacking, or that never happened?
I'll be really honest. We really didn't have a lot to put on that table. And if you think...
Period. Because they are a classy-ass family. Like, I mean, Trump, of course, he's a billionaire. He's been in the celebrity sphere a long time. Sure, does he have a little couple scuffs on his reputation? I'm sure. He's human, right? And honestly, with what they were able to dig up, I don't even think that was that bad. Considering, you know what I mean, who he used to hang around, and he's rich, filthy, stinking rich. So the fact that the best they could do was going back into when his wife was pregnant with Barron Trump, like ages ago, it's pretty good. And we haven't seen any laptops and crack pipes. You know what I mean?
That I'm lying. You really believe that anybody in the Trump family with the Trump last name wouldn't have had any and everything exposed by now? No, I mean, I think we naively thought, look, if you have good intentions and you do the right things and you're a good person, then, you know, if Donald Trump became president, I think we all thought after he won in 2016, oh, well, then all the craziness will stop. Everybody will rally behind the person who's president of the United States, because we should all want our president to be successful. That is success for America. And obviously, we were very wrong about that.
Well, what is he? Well, two things. Well, I want to go back to one thing first. I wonder what he learned from his 2000 campaign. That
2016 campaign?
Well, he ran in 2000 too, officially.
Oh,
yeah.
I haven't actually talked to him about that.
Yeah,
that's a good question. I mean,
I just brought that up because you said that when you talked about the vice president's campaign in 2020. Sometimes campaigns aren't successful. Joe Biden ran a bunch of times before he actually won.
He sure did.
Trump ran before he actually won. That's why I brought that up.
I don't know if he officially
2000.
ran.
In 2000,
well, he did. If he did, it didn't go very far from my memory. I don't know that there was any official announcement as far as I know. But look, I think he felt the right time was 2016. I think he looked at what was going on. And this is a businessman. And I think a lot of what he did that was very beneficial to this country has to do with businesses, with the economy, with jobs. Those were things that were really important to him. And you hear him talk about it now. He recently was talking about tariffs and how he wants to apply tariffs to countries who are, it's really awful to see how so many jobs, factories have gone overseas. Mm-hmm. We want to see made in the USA on more.
Exactly. And he's great at that. He was literally like a real estate mogul. He has been on the side of where consumers are or entrepreneurs are. He understands the red tape. He understands the restrictions and the policy and how that affects one being successful and independent in America. And he's doing it from that perception. He's already filthy rich, so he doesn't need any money. He forfeited his actual presidency income. So here's a man who understands that side and what needs to be done, rather than you have like a Biden, a Kamala who don't have independent wealth and can easily be bought.
And you saw that happening when he was in the White House. You saw more people employed in this country than we've ever had employed in the history of America. You had more money in your pocket. You had inflation at 1.9%. It was a very different feeling when he was in the White House. And I think that's why you're seeing such great support for this man. You don't have to love everything he says. You don't have to love everything he posts on X or Truth Social or whatever. But you do have to be honest that your life probably felt a lot better with Donald Trump in the White House. And I think that that's one of the reasons that he's working so hard, because he knows he can do the job. He did it one time before.
Question: why are tariffs considered good business when we know that it's going to cause the cost of typical American household items to go up significantly?
I don't know why Charlamagne talks like he knows anything about anything. And that's why sometimes when conservatives come on, he has to bring somebody else to argue back and forth with them, because he don't know shit about shit. He sits there with his eyebrows knitted and his smug look on his face. And it's so off-putting, honestly. And just like, you could just see his demeanor, his attitude, his tone with her. Like, it's just terrible.
So he explained
like a bunch of economists say that it'll cost the average American $2,600 extra a year.
I think that he explained this the other day when he was sitting down with, I believe it was Bloomberg, that, look, the reality is that it's going to force people to bring their companies back to the United States. And he really believes that.
But it's going to hurt a lot of American citizens in the process of that, because it's not like these companies are going to turn up and change over, come back overnight.
Well, let's talk. I mean, if you want to talk about hurting American citizens, the first thing that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did, their first executive order in the White House, shutting down the Keystone XL pipeline. That was something that gave us our energy independence. It was so bad for America. That drove up gas prices, that caused inflation to continue to go sky high. It enriched our adversaries like Russia and Iran, because now they were supplying oil for the rest of the world instead of the United States. It put us in such a weakened state. So, we want to drill, baby, drill. That's what Donald Trump always says. We have so much liquid gold.
Biden has drilled more than Trump.
Underneath.
He just irritates me so badly. Like, he's not listening to hear. He's listening to respond, and he's always ready with some stupid ass response, and it's so ignorant. Like, be willing to be open. What do you have? Like, what is with the gotcha all the time? What do you lose by just hearing someone and actually hearing what they have to say and maybe comparing it to your reality or your perception and making an observation? Why do you have to be so biased? It's like anything she says, he's just like, he's for Kamala. He said himself he wasn't rooting for Biden, but yeah, he's here defending Biden. Like, come on, man. These people are just unhinged. It's so off-putting. It's so just like, doesn't it make you angry?
Why did he shut down the Keystone XL pipeline?
I have no idea, but Biden
Why
has
did he
drilled
drain
more
our
than Trump.
strategic petroleum reserves, which are actually supposed to be used for emergency situations, for war times? The things
But has Biden drilled more than Trump?
I don't believe that's true.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Where?
You can look it up. He's
Look it up then,
drilled
Charlamagne.
more than Trump.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't believe that's true at all. And
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump was obviously.
Yeah, it is. He'll be first to, anytime someone else is on, he's on that. You see that laptop in front of him? Quick. He's a liar, bro. And he don't know facts. You don't know any facts, Charlamagne. Stop pretending.
A proponent of being energy independent and energy dominant as a country. And we are not right now. And that puts us in a very weakened state. And you would not have seen the issue in the Middle East right now. And you likely wouldn't have seen the issue with Russia and Ukraine had those countries, had Iran not had the funding and the money coming in from the oil, had Russia not had the funding and the money coming in from the oil. It's a terrible thing to see. And so, I think that you can look at a lot of things and second guess them with Donald Trump and say, well, what about this? What about that? Think about how it felt. Think about how much more money you had in your pocket. Think about so many people were finally able to go on a vacation for the first time when he was in the White House. And those are real tangible things. And right now, life is very hard for so many people in this country. I travel all over the place and I constantly am in airports and restaurants. And I constantly am approached by people who say, I cannot afford not to vote for Donald Trump. And I think they really mean that. And whether you look at our southern border, the influx of people who've come in this country, it's detrimental to so many aspects of our society. It's something that we've spent so much money on here in New York, $12 billion over 3 years. It's costing the city of New York to house illegal immigrants. And so I think whenever push comes to shove and we're looking at this election right now, there's so many people who might not love everything Donald Trump's ever said, but they certainly want to go vote for him because they want their life back. They want more money in their pocket and they want a safer community and they want peace agreements.
There's a lot of people that say that,
Hold on real quick. I do want to just note that inflation is down, though.
It's coming down.
Honestly, you know what saddens me most about Charlamagne and his perception, perspective? Is he actually represents a large majority of the Black community and how they think. Like when they're watching news and hearing these positive Trump points, they think these things. They rebuttal in the same way. And when you have a guy with a platform like this who Black people really look to for knowledge and advice and they respect him and he's been around a long time, it's really just sad to see how he sells them out. He's unwilling to learn. He's unwilling to be honest. He's unwilling to do his research. He's unwilling to be open to the possibility that Democrats don't have the Black community's best interests at heart. That is a very big possibility. Look around. In all of these years, what have they done for you that you have this stronghold with this party? And he calls himself an independent, but yet always is going hard for Democrats. Make it make sense, Charlamagne. Ask yourself, why would Biden cancel that pipeline when it's going to empower Americans? Who's he working for? And then he's going to turn around, inflation is down though. But he drilled more than Trump though. Like, bro, enough with the pandering. How much did they pay you? Tell me, how much did they pay you? Jeez.
Down.
It's like the 2.5%.
It's coming
just
down,
that the
but
prices
it's not
are still
down.
so elevated.
But wage growth has not kept up with the rise in inflation, and it's causing people to really hurt around this country. They really can't make their basic ends meet right now.
I mean, inflations are down, but the prices are up. I mean, whose fault is that? That's more so the corporations than it is government.
Is government
Prices
spending?
say that again?
Inflation is down, but the prices are up.
Inflation is not down nearly enough. You can bring
2.5%.
inflation. You can bring inflation down significantly, and I think if we had an energy independent country, it would really help.
Is that 2.5%?
Yeah.
I was going to ask, a lot of people feel that Trump is racist. And what do you say to that? In 73, of course, it was when he got sued for not renting to African Americans. And 89, when he took out the ad in the paper. And even saying Obama wasn't born here and show his birth certificate. And there's numerous things. So what do you say to that?
There's numerous things. You named 3, 2 of which are complete bullshit. I don't know about the not letting people stay at his place. I've heard that before. I don't believe it for a second. I would need to see that for myself. Maybe I'll look it up. But other than that, that's the best you got? That's the best you got? That's crazy.
I think that's ridiculous. I've known this man for 16 years. And, you can go to each of those incidents and, there was never any proof of anything with the houses that you're talking about.
He settled off for that though.
Yeah, they settled that. And there was no admission of anything there. Central Park 5, there were so many people. You had a Governor Democrat, DA who prosecuted the guys, and they admitted to it. There were a lot of people in New York
They were
at that time.
exonerated and freed, and there was never an.
Years later, they were exonerated. And honestly, I looked up that story in detail and I'm preparing a video right now. I can't wait to release that because it's such an important conversation. Everybody thought Central Park 5 was guilty, and for good reason. When you see the confession tapes and you see everything that was going on and how they were describing what they did to that woman and other people too, because there was this thing called wilding, where they were actually out terrorizing regular people in the streets. It wasn't just the lady. So the fact that they just got exonerated way later or whatever the case may be doesn't take away from the fact at the time everybody had good reason to believe they were guilty, including Trump. And you know he's a law and order guy.
Apologies, never sorry, never
However,
my
I will
bad.
say that you have to look at somebody and what they actually have done. And Donald Trump really was very beneficial to the Black community when he was in the White House. I will say I've never seen this man say a racist thing. I think the attacks are fairly... Why is that funny, Charlamagne?
I'm just like... it's hysterical. But I mean,
But no, Charlamagne,
because people act like
listen.
there's no such thing as Google, or we don't have TV, we don't have
What is
radio.
it that you think
Name it.
that he said?
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
This morning, a bitter
that
backlash
racist?
after President Trump referred to Haiti and African nations as S-hole countries during a meeting on immigration Thursday.
This remark by the President
How
of
is
the
that
United
racist?
States smacks of
like-
blatant racism.
Here's what I'll say. You know, this is a man...
How is that racist? Do you see what they're doing? Grasping at straws. Like they're so desperately trying to make a point. Like, I don't know. Comment below if you thought that was racist. Maybe it was rude. Racist? And I mean, it's probably true.
And who, as I said in the beginning, was beloved by so many people in this country. And he was friends with everybody. You go
A lot
back
of
to
celebrities.
Jesse Jackson, by the way.
Please
his
don't,
his
please
Rainbow
don't do that.
Coalition.
He had Black friends. That's not going to work
No.
out.
He let them stay rent free in one of his buildings. The Rainbow Coalition, because he felt like at the time that was a very important thing. You can go pick apart somebody all you want.
Jesse Jackson ran for president and was endorsed by Trump way back then. I think that was in like 70s or something. Why would he endorse a Black president? And that was at a way different time, y'all. So think about that. Why would he endorse a Black president candidate if he was racist? And then, oh my God, these people make me sick.
It is a traditional talking point to attack Republicans, to call them racist. But when you look at the things that he wants for this country, he wants every person to be successful. He wants Black Americans to be successful, Hispanic Americans to be successful, women to be successful. And he worked that way when he was in the White House. And whether you want to talk about actually funding in perpetuity historically Black colleges and universities, whether you want to talk about the First Step Act that allowed 30,000 nonviolent felons to be released from prison.
Period. Where was the Democrats act like that? Literally, that act immediately brought forth all of these cases to be re-examined for the sentencing, because laws have changed. Could be maybe a weed charge, something that was a little more simple for today compared to when they were sentenced, and they got freed immediately. There was a Black woman who vouches very strongly for Trump on this subject because she was supposed to spend the rest of her life in jail. But because of this act and this prison reform he's trying to do, she was released early and gets to now go enjoy the rest of her life. Like, stop it.
Who the 1994 crime bill actually put in prison. These are things that really have, I feel like, spoken to a lot of people, but more so than anything, the economy right now is such that I don't care who you are. It is hurting you, and it is something that he wants to fix. He wants every American to have their shot at the American dream. And, you know, I hate that that is the constant knee jerk is Donald Trump is a racist, Donald Trump is a racist. I can tell you he wants every person to be successful. He'll work for every American equally. He did that the first term when he was president, and he'll do it again.
How do you ask?
So how come he doesn't push back on that? Why not say, no, that's not true. He didn't blah, blah, blah with the First Step Act, because there's nothing to say, right? I guarantee you whatever's going to come out of his mouth right now is just going to be something stupid.
That's good. Like, how do you ask Mexicans and Muslims to ignore a lot of the rhetoric, Haitians to ignore a lot of the rhetoric that he said about them? That is,
You know why, Charlamagne? They don't care about his mean tweets or what he says. They're concerned with his action, as should you be. Why are you so caught? Like, are you, like, do you have balls? Go check. Can you check for me? Because, like, are you a man? You're upset about a few offensive, what you might consider offensive. Like, what is he doing for Black America that you care so dearly for? That should be your concern. Who cares what he tweeted or who he offended with his words? What are the actions he is taking to make your community, the community that you love, better? Okay.
That is dangerous. That has villainized them. That has demonized them.
Well, I would say anyone who's coming to this country illegally, he's very against, and every American should be very against. If you're an American citizen, Donald Trump doesn't care your religion. He doesn't care what you look like. He will work for you, and he wants to make this country safe for you. We should all want a secure southern border. A lot of the comments get misconstrued that he says about people coming here illegally. They're breaking our federal law to come here illegally. And that should be upsetting to everyone.
But when you make these broad generalizations, you do hurt the Haitian Americans that are here, the Mexican Americans that are here. They all get labeled and villainized and demonized.
Yeah, but you know what? I think people are finally seeing through that. It's very easy to clip up something like that and say, like, oh, let's push this out here. When he's referencing these things, he's talking about people who are illegally in our country. He doesn't want us to have 350 people on the terror watch list here. There's a guy who was arrested the other day, an ISIS member who was arrested the other day, who had planned a November 5th election day attack on American citizens. ISIS was eradicated under Donald Trump. We did not even talk about it anymore. He got into the White House and he talked to his top military brass and he said, okay, you guys tell me, how long is it going to take to deal with ISIS? Because ISIS was a big threat. People were constantly talking about it, worried about terror attacks. And they said, sir, it's going to take us a couple years maybe. You know, we have to call the White House every time we want to have some big operation. And he said, how about this? You guys just go do whatever it is you need to do. You don't need to call me. You guys are the experts. I'm not a military expert. You take care of it and let's see what happens. 4 weeks, ISIS was gone. The fact that we're talking about ISIS back in the here in the United States of America, an ISIS member should terrify everybody. The open border has been a disaster. So yeah, he's upset about it. And yes, he says things about people coming here illegally, and rightly so. And you and I, as American citizens, should be the ones absolutely infuriated that this has been allowed to happen.
Period. And I don't know what he could possibly say to be in disagreement of that. It sounds like he's going to say he agrees, but it's like, if you really are for Black people and you take politics seriously, as he keeps popping up on the subject, seems like he does, wouldn't you want to put yourself in the best position to know who's offering what so that you could put that forth to the community? If you actually cared, instead of trying to get you all the time, why don't you actually just go see what the guy's about, Charlamagne? It's terrible, honestly.
I agree with you. The border is a disaster. I feel like the border is a bipartisan issue, though, because the border has been terrible under multiple administrations.
Well, we had the lowest border crossings when Donald Trump was in the White House that we've ever had.
Yes, but I still feel like it's going to take some bipartisan legislation, to actually fix things at the border. You can't do executive orders. You can't do that. So how come they can't come to terms on that? And why did Donald Trump shoot down what they said was one of the most comprehensive bipartisan border bills that
If you actually read what was in there, there was like $60 billion for Ukraine. There were so many issues with that. It would allow 1.8 million illegal immigrants into our country a year. I mean, it was nonsense, honestly, Charlamagne. And we should all want a secure southern border. That's why Donald Trump...
That's what I'm saying. So, Charlamagne, you know about this bill. You're asking why wasn't it passed if it included da-da-da-da. So if you knew it included the border stuff, you didn't know about the rest? Did you look any further, or is this just another gotcha moment? Oh, if they've been trying to pass, and how come it's not passing if you guys are so concerned about the border? Because they're also trying to pass a bunch of other bullshit. Like, and then he nods and yeah. True.
Trump built over 500 miles of border wall when he was in office. And, I went down to the border wall and I saw it with my own eyes. I went down to Yuma, Arizona about a month ago. And to talk to the people in those communities, look, they say now every state is a border state because of this. The people who live in Yuma, Arizona are being so negatively impacted. If you're a pregnant woman in Yuma, Arizona, they kind of say, you may not want to plan to have a baby in our hospitals here because they're so overrun taking care of people who cross the border. It's dangerous. They say a third of women are sexually assaulted. The people there told me it's probably closer to 50% who come up over the southern border. So it's terrible for them. But because of them having to take care of all the illegal migrants coming over, you can't even be assured you're going to have a place to deliver a baby in Yuma, Arizona. They say you're going to have to drive either 2 hours to San Diego or 3 hours north to Phoenix. And so having gone and seen it with my own eyes, I'll tell you the most infuriating part to me. You have this border wall that Donald Trump built, and then laying down on the ground where you have a wide open section are pieces of the border wall that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, because they campaigned and said, we will not build another foot of Donald Trump's border wall, it's laying on the ground. And there are people who come right through there. They could stand it up right now if they wanted to, but they won't do it. That is very frustrating, I think, to see right now that we paid for that. It's right there ready to go. And if they're not leaving it on the ground, then they're selling it for, pennies on the dollar.
If the bipartisan border bill was so bad, like you say, how come so many Republicans were for it until Donald Trump intervened to say no?
I don't think Donald Trump intervened at all. He's not in an elected office right now. And
he literally told him not to do it.
That I don't think that's true.
He has no position right now. What is he talking about? He literally told them to do it. Like, Charlamagne, what are you talking about? All right, y'all. I'm going to stop it there. The video is going to be long. We'll be here all day. But I thought that they touched on some really good stuff. I think Lara Trump handled herself very, very well. I'm very pleased with her. Never seen her before. Loved how she handled herself. I thought she brought up a lot of good stuff. And as I said, Charlamagne was just like trying to get her. Not there to listen and hear. Not there to be open. Not there to be bipartisan. He's literally just there to try to make a conservative look stupid. That's I feel like his number one goal all of the time. And it's sad. It's pathetic in my opinion. And if he truly does care about the Black community, he would be looking for truth and not propaganda. Honestly, I just think that we need some honest voices. We need people who are really truth seekers, who really want answers and solutions. And platforms like this, honestly, are a joke. They really are. And that's honestly another motivation why I started this channel. I want to be one of those voices that people have to hear true opinions and facts. You know what I mean? Because this is embarrassing. This is literally embarrassing. So anyway, I won't hold you guys any longer. I hope you enjoyed this. Please like this video. It really does help to grow the channel. And it's a free way that you can help a girl out. If you stayed all the way to this point, God bless you. You are a real one and love you. It's you. You are the reason that girl's sticking around. You know what I mean? Because if you're still here, that means you care about what I want to say. So I appreciate that. And that's it. So have a good day. I will see you on the next one. Until next time.